At the moment, whenever we assign activities to timeline items, as well as start tracking time for certain activities, all this current state of our application will be removed if we're gonna open up application another day, because we are only storing state of our application until the end of the day. But it actually makes sense to reset only tracked time, so we'll start new day when no time is tracked. And as for assigned activities, it doesn't make sense to make user to always select activities for some hours every day, because he can pre-select some activities for some hours and use this selection every day. So now if we're going to mock the situation when we will open up application tomorrow by using function tomorrow instead of today, this way when we open up application, the state will be no longer valid since we have opened application tomorrow by mocking that date. And also we are seeing that none of our data, including selected activities as well as tracked seconds, are not saved. So now we're going to implement such behavior that pre-selected activities will be persisted no matter which day we're gonna open up the application, but tracked seconds will be always reset on the new day. First of all, let's find that function which is responsible for loading the state from the local storage. In this function, we're gonna rewrite this logic which assigns timeline items read from local storage to timeline items reactive variable. Firstly, I'm going to rewrite this logic in a different way by using full conditional expression. So far I haven't written anything new, but just rewrote existing code in a different way. But in this second else block, we need to write an extra logic by resetting state of timeline item objects. And to do this, we're going to create new function called reset timeline items, passing timeline items array read from local storage. And this function can decide which data should be reset. So let's quickly write declaration for this function reset timeline items. Inside timeline items module, it is going to accept array of timeline items, and in here we're basically going to iterate over this array of timeline item objects by using method map. We will reset only certain properties instead of resetting everything. So let's destructure all existing data of this timeline item object and then reset a couple of properties, such as tracked activities that are stored inside activity seconds property. We'll assign value 0, and also we're going to reset isActive property, because after we reset timeline items, none of the stopwatches should be active. I'm not going to stop at this logic in here, because this was implemented and explained in details in the previous lessons. So here we're just adding new function reset timeline items to be able to reset tracked time instead of resetting assigned activities to timeline item objects. And by the way, we're going to call reset timeline items function only when we open up application another day, not at the same day when we last had this application open, which we can ensure by calling isToday function with negation. And now let's see what is going to happen in the browser if I'll assign a couple of activities to different hours and also track a couple of seconds. And if we'll emulate the situation of opening up application tomorrow once again, as we can see, all the data was reset, not only tracked seconds. Actually, when we selected activities and then opened up application tomorrow, so to say, by mocking current date, our selection has been read from local storage, but we're not actually assigning timeline item data read from local storage to timeline items reactive variable. So before checking this condition, we have to actually assign read timeline item data to timeline items reactive variable. And in case this state will not exist, we're gonna fall back to default timeline item objects generated automatically like this. And these default timeline item objects do not have any activities assigned, as well as any time tracked. So now our selection should be persisted. Let's do it one more time. Firstly, let's revert the date back to today, and then modify the state of our application by assigning a couple of activities, and also track a couple of seconds for one activity. And this time, if we're going to mock the current date by specifying tomorrow in here, and open up application again, this time, as we can see, activities were persisted, but not the time. All tracked time was reset. So this is exactly what we were trying to achieve. Alright, now let's revert that code that was mocking tomorrow's date. And at this point we're good to finish this lesson. Let's continue development in the next one.